Proceed with the countdown.
10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
3, 2.
Time's up.
Hey, brother. It was Devil's Night. Loki's birthday. Culture and Pops. Here, bro. Happy birthday.
Are you ready to talk hard?
How are you, everyone? Welcome to Talk Hard. Greetings and salutations to everyone. Hope you're all doing well and blessed. It has been a crazy weekend for me, but we are here. I am ready to talk hard, and tonight we will be talking about The Fifth Element, a recommendation from one of you that we have had delayed a couple times. So here we are. We will talk about this 1997 sort of, I don't know, we're going to call this a cult film. I'm not sure. It kind of seems like it has a bigger following than it's sort of like I kind of thought it did, kind of thing. A lot of people have brought this up. So, but hopefully you're enjoying yourselves. Things are going well. With us, as always, the great co-host of Talk Hard. To my left, to your right, Ironcaster, my friend. How are you, brother?
Multipass.
I have had that clip for like a month. Whenever it just was one of the easiest ones to pop in, and the transfer was so great. It just made me laugh. So it's been there forever. So yeah, multipass.
Oh.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting to be Lilu.
Yes, you were Lily. And then below us, as always, Stone Cold Loki, my friend. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. What a great movie. Corbin, Dallas, winner of the Gemini Croquet Contest.
It was fun. It was fun revisiting this film. 25 years. My goodness. It made me feel old to see 25 years after seeing this in the theater a couple times, enjoying it then. It had a good run. I thought it had a pretty good run at the time. It wasn't as big as they thought it would get, but I say this was one of the first films where, I say first films. It's among the films where, because I started at this point, I was kind of following box office a little bit differently than I maybe had when I was young. So therefore, when Jurassic Park Lost World came out, and of course it kind of crushed, because it really didn't matter how good or bad that film was going to be. It was going to be a big deal. And you started to realize, when movies come out, the timing of it will matter. And that's kind of what happened to this film. It just kind of got crushed. It just ended up, 2 weeks, and that was it. And then after that, it just kind of petered out and never really had a big shake. But it did well globally. It had a big run in Europe, made a few $100,000. And we can talk about why there was no sequel, because it did not, and it will not get one, in my opinion. So. But let's say hey to chat. Obviously, chat is here. Why we're here. We're having a great time talking hard. Dempsey's up in the house. Hey there, my friend. Thanks so much for being with us. I was watching Dempsey earlier on Nerdpolio's stream from yesterday. They were live reacting to the original Halloween 78. So there he is, the Pops mod himself, the GOAT, Chris Persia. He's one of my members. I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you so much hanging in here with us. That's awesome. And also another member. I'll be on with him tomorrow. The Machine, Ryan Roger Athe. He is with us as well. Hope all is well. Likewise with you, my brother. Can't wait to spend some time talking with you tomorrow on Reality Based. So I will be the last of the Talk Hard team to make it to Ryan's show. I'm very excited about that. So let's see here. Weather today, 180 from fog, drizzle to low temperatures to something warm again. Yeah, Florida went crazy. Like we got down like at the farm. A couple weeks ago, it was like 40 in the mornings, and now it's like back into the high to mid 80s. So it's been crazy. It's been crazy. So Chris says he's ready to listen up. So again,
Said enjoy that while you can. The weather.
Yeah. So, and Zach's is here. Hey to Zach's my brother and member as well. So Zach, thank you so much, my friend. Can't wait to spend some time with you. So yeah, back in the saddle, Bruce Willis. It's got Milla and Gary Oldman, who doesn't get credit. This role is crazy, man. And yeah, we'll talk about some of that kind of stuff. And this film fits into that too. I don't know what you guys, but I kind of have like a new rule now that I know it's so corrupted. The Rotten Tomatoes thing, like when the score, because the critic score is like 71 and the audience is 86. Anytime the audience score so dramatically exceeds the critic score, if I haven't seen it, I want to watch it, and I most likely will want to watch it again because like it's almost like a perfect barometer of something being good. If you've got at least 10% more from the audience. So Decepticon's Cave rolled up in here as well. So hey to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. And Roger Athe is giving it the thumbs up. Yes. It is just before Ryan was born. It's in 97. Roger, of course. Ryan is 1999. So yeah, I don't know, brothers. What do you guys think about this film? Some general sort of thoughts, if you will.
For myself, The Fifth Element was a movie I always sort of slept on, and like I had caught kind of bits and pieces of, but it wasn't until recent years that I really went back and delved into it. And it's around at the same time I'm also kind of coincidentally starting to delve into a lot more of comics outside of just the U.S. norm. So it was really interesting, kind of discovering some of the art. The art direction was by a couple of notable French artists. I found.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then seeing just all of that on display, and it's a super artistic movie, I think.
Yeah, and this director, this was like a passion project, and that's why I figured. I mean, I knew Loki would love it because of that. Because we kind of share that too. This guy had this stuff. He started writing this story when he was like 16 years old. Like this is like a lifetime passion
in high
project
school.
For this dude. Yeah,
he wrote it in high school.
That's always fun for me. Whenever I have stuff like that, I'm always, and I didn't even know. So obviously, this is another thing that's great with the internet. Like you learn a lot of this stuff much later on because when you're in it live, we didn't have access to a lot of this information. We didn't know a lot of these sort of stories. We didn't know this. So, as time goes on, we find out more about it. It kind of, I don't want to say it changes the legacy, but it definitely expands the legacy. And I made a quote to make sure I tried to give him credit here. So he conceived the story of the idea when he was in high school, invented the world of the movie as a child. He would escape in his lonely childhood here. He was writing and thought it would never get released in theaters, which didn't happen until he was 38. So you can imagine that, a 22-year-old passion project. So for any of those out there that are feeling a little discouraged, you feel like it just still hasn't happened. Maybe you feel like it will never happen. Maybe you feel like it can't happen to you. I think a film like this is like just kind of a role model film. Anything is possible kind of thing. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about the film itself. I'm trying to get it to queue up properly, so we got that going on. So any of your last words before we kick into this a little bit?
This could have been a dramatically different movie. You had, he originally wanted Prince to be Ruby Rod. He wanted Mel Gibson to be Corbin Dallas. He wanted Julia Roberts to be Lilu. This could have been a dramatically different movie. They also had Jamie Foxx. At the end of the day, it was down to Chris Tucker or Jamie Foxx for Ruby Rod. And they didn't go with Jamie Foxx because he was built. Jamie Foxx is a big guy. And they were like, no, we need this little skinny Rayleigh guy to be next to Corbin so that Corbin looks like this big, I'm the action military guy. And then you've got little skinny Ruby Rod by Chris Tucker. So it could have been a drastically different movie if they had gone with his original choices.
And if any of you are young enough not to understand this too, you have to remember that at the time, Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts were huge names. So this was like a get. Like, hey, listen, my studio is going to pick this up. I'm sure it was walk in a room and who can you have? You can have anyone you want. He was just coming off the success of The Professional, which did really well. So he was kind of, I won't say a hot commodity, but he was kind of a deal a little bit. So let's see. Das Wolfen come up in here. So hey to Das Wolfen. Awesome, my brother. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. Of course,
Das Wolfen.
Das Wolfen. My brother from another mother, Dave Reardon, is here. Dave, I thank you so much, my brother. Hope you and the family are doing well and you enjoy our time talking about this. Das Wolfen says, yes, it is a classic. We couldn't agree more, Das Wolfen. And many of you have actually asked for us to do this film. It dates back a while ago. We had it slated and had some delays. So, and Princess Leia Rose is here. Hey there, lady. Glad that you're hopping in. And reminder, a week from Thursday, she will be on with me as we will be talking some Star Wars stuff. So, and all the way from Japan, there he is, my friend, representing Gray, Wakasashi Tea House. So, hail to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, Fifth Element. Let's get to it. Let's do a little bit. We'll jump around a little bit. I think there's certain sections, we'll have some comments on and get to that. So, yeah, it was definitely one of those films I didn't know what to expect at the time. I've always wondered if that was a little bit of it as well. Like some of the marketing things were part of the, I want to say lesser box office. I would not say box office failure or anything like that. I think it's solid. It wasn't as solid in America. Anyway, so the film starts off with sort of a flashback to 1914. You're on an archaeological site. And again, another big name gets a little, Jason Priestley gets a little bit part as sort of the documentarian for this archaeological dig. As he's reading these writings, he's explaining that there's different elements and these different stones, this kind of thing. And this other priest comes in, and they stop everything to deal with this guy. So you kind of get a feel for the sort of a reverence that is maintained even when we flash forward into the future in all of this. And he's immediately figuring out that they're on to something. They're discovering something. We, the audience, is going to figure out that he's supposed to be protecting it from us being found out. But we have the moment that pretty much there's no going back, and there's this shadow. There's the Jason Priestley. There you go. And the shadow kind of comes in, and then there's these creatures walking through. Let's get this shot here real quick. And you see him fall to his knees, like, listen, I did my job, have mercy, whatever. And they just come in. They're just going to take control. And I love the fact that, it's all like very mechanical effects. Like these are these costumes and stuff. And they had to have like little cameras inside so they can see what they're doing. I love the line about, are you German? And it's like, of course, when he says he says it in German, he asks if you're from Earth. Anyway, so all the hoopla is about the wall. They go over, and then it extends out of their hand a little key. And when the key goes in, it opens it like a door, and you realize there's another whole passage inside. And the archaeologist is just blown away. And this is where we end up discovering the actual stone. We see the stones, we see the sarcophagus, and there to take it. So we don't get it. We don't need to mess with the situation. And Jason Priestley's freaking out, so he pulls out a gun. He's telling him to stop, whatever. When he falls, he fires a shot. And it's kind of where we end things before we flash forward to the 2200s. So, I will say, because it did take a little while. That was actually like 13 minutes. So a little bit of credit. So a little over 10 minutes. And I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. So the film, if there's a biggest critique, I mean, I did mean Luke Perry. Oh my gosh, I said Jason Priestley, didn't I? I am so sorry. I've messed up my 90210 cred. Holy crap! You're absolutely right, Luke Perry. My 90210 card can now be shredded. I have not watched 90210 in so long. Yes, Luke Perry. Chris Persia and Gray have to keep me on. You guys didn't say a word, so I figured. I guess I didn't catch that I had said it wrong. Yeah. Holy cow! You tell I don't have notes on some of this stuff.
Supposedly, and I only heard this at the time, so I don't know how much factual evidence there is to back it up, that Luke was so high when they did that opening bit that he had to do that over and over again, like 20, 30 times, because he just couldn't say the lines right. And this is one of the last movies you will see him in for a while at the time. So it was kind of believable that, well, he has that line where he's like, they're monsters, they're monsters. They killed the professor. And you're like, it's kind of
over the top,
kind of cheesy and over the top. And I don't know. It's always one of those things I never looked into, but at the time I'd heard that he was so drugged up that he could not get his lines out correctly.
Look, Zax is calling me out, saying, "Yeah, LP still can't get respect." Yeah, I know, bro. I know. I got you. I feel you. I understand. I deserve it, man. I deserve it. What's Grace saying? Luc Besson has a penchant for character actors with really distinctive faces. No. So the biggest positive at this point, and what you're going to see in this next sequence as we get introduced to the future, is how well it's cast with exactly what you're saying. He's really into the world building, the costumes, the set design, how all the actors look, and then the negative is that the pacing of this film is, I'm just going to say it's problematic. It's not a big deal. The film is not ruined or anything like that, but things get repeated a lot, take a little bit longer than they need to. Yeah. So, but again, I don't think this doesn't warrant some sort of big negative critique on the film or anything like that. Because even if they are repeating things, they're usually adding along the way. It's not as derivative as my criticism sounds, I guess. I'm trying to be reasonably fair with it. So we fast forward, big bad space monster. No one quite knows what to do. If you shoot at it, it grows. So it's feeding on negative energy or violence. And then at the last second, the priest steps forwards and says, well, I have an alternate theory of what you think this thing might be. And the black dude there was the president. Yeah.
That's not just a priest. That's Pops.
Couldn't he? Yeah. You know, I really there's no face swap that'll work on any of those. Like it is a little weird. I actually showed my daughter because we were doing face swaps. I'm like, we literally could just do a face swap and really so little changes with Ian Holm and I'm like, wow. And he's a lot older than me, which is a little discouraging. Like, wow, I guess if they need someone, you know, I could stand in. I could do AI face replacement for him because not a whole lot of work has to be done.
How many of you expected to hear him say the perfect organism?
The perfect organism. That was really good. That was a good sequence, by the way. But I will say that there are some clever elements that are kind of hidden in here because the president says you have 20 seconds, and he literally speaks for exactly 20 seconds, by the way. So there are little elements. I know it's like super nitpicky fan nerdy stuff, but little nitpicky fan nerdy stuff like that is to me what builds the lore. You know, Ironcaster, we talk and complain about a lot of different things, and even when things are done on the cheap, they're at least trying to do things. Obviously, they have different. Each one of the window panes in the background have different designs because there's supposed to be different areas of the galaxies or whatever. Yep. And these guys that had this weird little cheap backpack gimmick thing going on their back is just cheap and plasticky. And these are plastic rain jackets. But at least there's something. They're not just people walking around.
Yeah, they might be on screen for a second. It's basically Star Wars, where you kind of look at a character, and you kind of wonder like, what's up with this story, with the story of this character? Like, what do they have on for their equipment? Like, what is their day-to-day job like? What is life like in the year 2300 with that on the guy's bag? Why does he have these like air hoses? You know, it's little things that really help to flesh in a world and tell you a lot more about what's going on without necessarily without putting it into the main story itself. There might be sometimes little things for the subtext, and you get a sense, especially with this shot right here, just how big and how far humanity has gone out into the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. It definitely increases our curiosity. And Loki, I know one of the things I wanted to point out, I wanted your thoughts on it too, is this seems a great representation. If we watch just about any other science fiction film, those screens would be black with some sort of dots on them.
Yep.
And he did not want things to be dark and gritty like most sci-fi. You know, obviously that started with Star Wars. He said, no, I want like a tons of bright colors. I want a lot of that kind of stuff, and I really want a sense of fun. That really is a kind of a thing that kind of carries. I mean, the whole film is carried on that. Really?
Yeah. No, absolutely it is. A lot more color, a lot more vibrance. It's not cold. There's even scenes in space where it's just not cold. It doesn't feel cold. You had that wonderful scene with the singer on the cruise ship, and even the background, the colors when they're changing levels, there's color there. There are these bright colors. And even when you're looking out into space, the contrast between the singer and what's going on that stage and the blackness of space behind her, there's still color there.
It's very true. That is very true. It's one of the key elements of the film. When you watch this again, folks, really try to give it some attention on like the amount of set design and color insertion. And like Ironcaster said, like when you get like things like this, because they don't have a lot of money, this little silly costuming that they have over here, they don't even bother explaining which is better. We'd rather just have some curiosity. We'd rather just have some interesting. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. Anyway, go ahead, Ironcaster.
I was going to say one of the things that really stands out in with the use of color here is this is kind of leaning back into the comic artist. One guy named was Jean-Claude Mézières.
I don't know how to say his last name, bro. It's Jean-Claude something, and then the other guy's Morbius. I knew who Morbius is.
Yeah.
He's a famous artist, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the use of watercolors with them and their work is, you can really get a sense of that they were given free rein to sort of to do their thing with their art, and they were able to bring that over into the film itself. Down to like the design of the ships and the way the curvature of them also, where they're just like odd angles on things that seem a little off, but it adds a lot of character to just every little ship where you get caught up on everything. You're like, I like the look of that. I don't know why I like the look of this. I like the look of this. I want this as a ship. It's cool. It has style.
And Besson was very clear when he went into production that he wanted to have fans of the sci-fi genre, right? So he went to those two guys because that was the stuff that they'd been working on. So there's tons of Star Wars references and homages in this. There are tons of that element of New Hope and the world building that he's trying to accomplish in this film as well by having like crazy characters or aliens and things going on. We don't really even have to explain any of it. We just have it out there. So there's tons of cred being thrown around for Leon the Professional and La Femme Nikita. Those are films we need to put on our radar screen at some point someday. So Alf Jeebus also making an appearance. Hey there, my friend. Thanks for coming in and talking hard. So it's good, as well as Abomination AJ, which freaking, you know how much a fan I am of his. He's just freaking a great creator, up and coming creator. Deserves some time, that's for sure. So let's see. Ruby Rod. Ruby Rod is off the chain. The metrosexual thing, almost metrosexual or metrosexual Iron Man. We'll see. You know what? That's an interesting face swap. Yep. It's a little weird doing the face swap thing on someone like Chris Tucker. Like, it don't work. It just doesn't quite play right with us. So we'll see. Mobius, not Morbius. Okay, well, fine. You're right. I'm just a mess tonight, aren't I? That guy is the vampire. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Bear with the old man. Rashawn Rashawn. All right, my friend. Thank you for being here. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name too bad. I apologize for what bit I did. So, and Chris Purchase checking us. He says, I almost thought Jim Hensworth Workshop designed those, the Mondo Charon, but they are not credited. I don't think so. I think they used European companies for that kind of stuff. And he thought he could film overseas and they just couldn't work it out. He really thought he could do that. So I don't know who did. He did a lot. He had 3 different effects teams working on, practicals versus CGI and, that kind of stuff. So 3 different groups. So, and Claude is here. Hey, Claude. Thanks for hopping in and doing that with us, man. All right. So let's go back to our time. We're in the future. He gets to pitch his take on what's going on, which of course quickly checks out. And then we cut to Corbin Dallas. So this is basically the president not being able to save anybody, and the evil cloud is just going to destroy things. And this guy's acting is really kind of off the chain. Like, it's really, really good. And we cut right to Corbin Dallas, the Bruce Willis, who, it's funny how much Bruce Willis in some ways hasn't changed. And you see a movie like this and you're like, wow, he's kind of almost like he's deep faked. It is interesting to see what they were trying to go for here. And I think the biggest take home I had with this, I wanted your guys' thoughts on this, was they don't really ever explain why anyone lives like this. We don't really have to. No one ever explains what's going on in the Earth or other planets to understand why people have this sort of like limited apartment cubicle type approach to everything, where stuff's built into the walls, but you literally live in one room. They don't even bother trying to explain it. It was interesting. I will say that. I enjoyed reliving it on this rewatch.
There's a couple of interesting little things with it. Like, you'll see that all the little sections of the apartment are able to either like basically self clean or close up into the walls. But then you look over to the side, they're just dishes that are there that you can only assume he has to wash by hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas his bed is able to just like apparently self clean and puts a new plastic like one out that he has to like rip the plastic off of every night.
Yeah, the plastic thing comes up a couple times, which is kind of fun. This was kind of funny. I remember we're not rewatching. It was like that was the way the guy gets in to try to do like a robbery. He has this crazy screen attached to his head, and it's just I don't know. As I rewatched it, and I just thought to myself, this was a way crazier concept than I remembered it being at the time. This was hysterical. It was hysterical. I don't know. The idea of having this, strapping something on your head like this was just okay. You haven't gotten yourself killed yet, I guess. Okay, cab driver stuff. So we cut to Corbin. He's a cab driver, right? Futuristic cab driver is what we get. Driving around. He has only 5 points left on your license. So I had to look it up because I knew I remembered something like this. Luc Besson's dad was a taxi driver. That was like the second job to get the kid through art school and all of that. So the reference, and they did say this. I thought I'd heard something about the taxi driver thing, so I want to make sure I got it right. What's that? He pretty much makes taxi drivers or some sort of reference or some sort of inclusion in almost all of his movies to honor his dad. So that kind of hit me in the feels. Saying, I don't know if anybody out there's heard that kind of thing before or not. So, and,
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I didn't know. I think I just something stuck. I probably listened to like a commentary or something several years ago and just kind of stuck in there. And I'm like, let me check that out. And yeah, that was the thing. Alf just says chocolate syrup. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. Fact check me. I don't know if that's true. Chocolate syrup or not. Someone check the Alf.
I mean, it was it was good good enough for Alfred Hitchcock. I don't see why it wouldn't be good enough for here.
Yeah, but that works black and white. So the minimalism aesthetic works really, really well. I agree with that. And he has a tasty white cat. I see what Alf's doing there, trying to hijack this whole conversation. So then we kind of cut over to our priest. They basically have they move through this thing where basically now you have the attack. The president goes along for the priest to go ahead and on your scheme. But before things move very far, these guys are coming that will be able to protect them. They're attacked. So we're going to have attack, and they're all dead, and they're killed. And the only thing that survives is this hand. So there's like the metal out exterior with this little bit of flesh sticking out. And that's what we have. And they basically said, well, we can use this DNA thing because they explained that a normal human, whatever, has so much DNA. This thing has at least 5 times that. So there's massive amounts of DNA sort of like overlapping themselves. So there's plenty of information to map this. Now, in 1997, I don't know about you guys. I don't know when you guys saw this in the theater, and I know Ironcast, you already said you didn't see it so much later. This was a super freaking cool scene when we saw it in the theater. This was super cool. I was just like, yep, I'm down with this. Holy cow, this was cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, it's these memorable shots that will stay with you. Like just the weaving of the flesh over the bones and putting the body together. It's super cool.
Yeah. And just way ahead of its time for what they're trying to accomplish. I think it's just great. And of course, when they pull it back, she's there. And then, of course, because they bring her, they want photos. So when it does, she starts to have this big triggered reaction. And then he basically tries to be confrontational with her. I don't know, Lucky, what are your thoughts? When did you see it in the theater, and what is your reaction when you kind of relive this with seeing Milla with the orange hair and all this kind of, which is kind of interesting to get your thoughts on it.
She was the youngest actress on this in this show, and I know this was the first time I ever saw her before Resident Evil, before any of the other stuff. And every time you see her, you can't help but go, Lilu Dallas Multipass. It's just, chicken good. She brings a light to this film that I think it needed. It really needed. I don't think Julia Roberts and anybody else could have done what she did the way she did it. If they had, it wouldn't have been the way she did it.
Yeah, I think when I was listening to an interview that she did, and then they were doing for some, like, it's just stuff that's been archived on YouTube or whatever, and she just went for it. She just went for weird when she auditioned, and I got a feeling that even better actresses, things that were just more talented, just went for a more traditional approach, and they had to have something that could bring Lilu to life, and it has to be odd and quirky and exotic and sexy, and it had to have all of these different elements, and the fact that she was able to do that, I think, is a game changer. And I know that she doesn't land in Resident Evil for a couple years, but this is a role I actually always think about when I think about her. I know people are really into Resident Evil and all that. Really, for me, Fifth Element is really kind of the thing for me. I love the first Resident Evil film, and I know she's in several of them, if not all of them. I don't even know. I'm not a massive fan of the other films, but this one, I don't know. There's something special for those. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I've watched the first one several times. I've watched the second one a few times. After that, I don't even know if I've gotten through all the rest. I really don't know. I'd have to watch them and go, oh yeah, I remember this now. Oh yeah, I remember this now. Like, it's just one of those things where there's 1 and 2, and then whatever the rest of them are, they're just one big zombie video game film for me. Like, I don't even know.
That could be an entire month of movies. Just
I don't know if I could watch that last movie again. I got through all of them, but that last one was really, really hard to get through.
Like, I have fun with them for, like, I'm down for, like, the first 2, but then after that I just kind of don't care because they went just so off the rails doing their own thing. It's not even the games anymore. It's like, okay, we've blown up Raccoon City, but now we're like in a Mad Max world apparently. But then we're like not, and then it's just we're gonna rehabilitate zombies. No, this is dumb.
I don't know about you
say
guys.
Real quick, Pops.
Go for it, bro.
I got the Steelbook 4K of this movie. Mm-hmm. Watching this in 4K, not only is the picture absolutely beautiful, the sound is overwhelming. If you have like a home theater system where you've got your speakers set up and everything's ready to blast off, you're going to absolutely love the sound coming off of that 4K disc.
The score is actually like a hidden gem for us that are in like the that era of stuff. And it's just that type of music. I don't know how to explain it exactly. Just loved it. Just really, really, really did. Someone mentions Run Lola Run. I don't think that came out before that. I don't know. When did Run Lola Run come out? I don't know.
I don't know. I was just saying that this is the first movie I ever saw her in. And
the one I
immediately when I think about her, this is the first movie I think about.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Run Lola Run in years. I would not even have from a reference. So, let me think here. So Brett Cohen copped in here. Hey there, Brett. Nice to see you, my friend. Her daughter plays young Natasha Romanoff in Black Widow. Cool. Gizmo Surplus. Hey there. Have anyone seen her in Monster Hunter?
Not yet.
I haven't watched Monster Hunter. Don't know. She's in every. Das Woman says she's in every single one except for the reboot. Welcome to Raccoon City. Fair enough.
Right. Well, I think what happened was she wound up like either she had at the time or had yet to, but after the first movie, I know she and the director were married.
Yeah, her and Luc Besson get together and married, and of course, once they have a divorce, that's the end of that.
And she married the guy.
Everything.
She married the guy that did the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, Paul Anderson. Yeah,
Paul Anderson. Yeah.
So
that's 2 directors.
Yeah, she got married. Yeah, she knows how to get a job. The other thing too is obviously it's not going to be a secret, right? Bruce Willis is difficult to work with. Like, especially if Bruce Willis is with people he feels like he's superior to, he's a bigger name to. He kind of treats them like crap. He's calling all the shots. He'll be late. He'll just randomly ad lib. So that caused issues. Gary Oldman, to be honest, did this as a favor. Like, Gary Oldman did not do this because, like, Gary Oldman's like, oh my God, I have to do this movie. It's this great script, blah, blah, blah. Evidently, there's like some backstory with Luc Besson and Gary Oldman. And that's why Gary Oldman did the job, period. That's it. So, and he's like, no, the story's weird. It's whatever. But hey, man, I'm good. I'm down. And it's like, it was almost like we're going to be even now that I do this role. And I got to be honest, he freaking hit a home run. I love him in this movie. Like, he's freaking absolutely nuts as Zorg. So, all right, back to the film. Military has to talk smack. Lilu, of course, is superhuman, so she just bursts her butt out of there and just like kicking butt. She's on like a ledge, and this is just cool stuff. I will say there's a couple of shots. I'd love to see the 4K, like you were saying. I assume they had to do some work because there's only a few shots when there's cars flying that have sort of like the subpar CGI, but on shots like this, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You can tell it's 1997, but it's not that bad. This seems like the kind of thing they can easily clean this up and make this nicer. So, I don't know.
It would be fun if there was a roller coaster where you could just imagine the New York City chase.
I'm shocked there's not. Okay, this is another reason why there are these franchises or these films like this. I don't understand why they're not tapped into. Like, I understand. Okay, Luc Besson can't get a sequel made. Whatever, fair enough. Okay, well, we could have easily had a comic book series. We easily could have had a VR video game, right? I don't know about a regular video game. You guys are the experts, not me. But this seems like the VR type of experience that even as a normie, I'd be like, all right, I want to try that at least once. I want to be able to fall off the building and dodge cars and go through the taxi. And it would seem like that kind of experience. And there's a way to make money. They are properties. I know we don't like to think of it in that way, but when you see something that's cool as this movie and then nothing else happens with it, it kind of makes me sad. I want more. I want something else. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, the closest you really get to anything like that is going back to I think Luke Benson. Or not Luke Benson, Jean Giraud.
Okay.
His own comic series, Valerian.
Okay, so Valerian is tied to this?
Well,
Or
he was one of the French comic artist.
Yeah, he's like a storyboard
into,
and co-creator. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Right, and he was also one of these comic artists that inspired Luke Benson as a child.
Okay.
And his own comic series has a lot of the similar art style to it, that it's able to kind of go anywhere and anyone. There's a bit of like a time police with it, and it has a lot of similar stylings to it. That's about the closest you would get ultimately to anything else like this.
Yeah, that's true. Alf Jeebus is pointing out that Bruce Willis and Oldman don't have a lot of scenes. I don't even know how many days each of them worked. I'd have to listen to a commentary or do some digging to figure that out. Let's see. Dean Krantz said this scene is very heavy metal. Yes, that is very true. Very, very true. I definitely can see that.
Well, I mean, again, Mobius was helped co-found heavy metal, and he brought him in on this. So yeah, this definitely has that connection.
Oldman has circles behind him in shots. I'm not sure what it's meant to represent. I don't know. And let's see, Luke. Look at this. Brent also says did the first because he couldn't get the rights to the Valerian supposedly. Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, this was a passion project, Brad. We talked about it briefly. Luc Besson had talked about how he'd been writing this since he was 16. This was his escape world when he was lonely and sad in his childhood. He reached out to those comic book artists to basically make it all come to life, make it all bright and colorful and immersive, and it's just that. So, again, we talk about set design, we talk about details. I know Ironcaster, I don't know about you, but I watched this sequence of them get to the fog, right? From her landing in the cab to getting to the fog a couple times. Like the dice and the stuff spinning here, the taxi thing dangling in the background, there's stuff on the glass. For those of you who don't know the story, we all came together because we ended up basically bagging on Halo for over 2 months. And part of the criticism, which I still stand by vehemently, is that show is so on the cheap, it's disgusting. And you get a scene like this, which is obviously just a studio build with, Bruce Willis holding probably a plastic, steering wheel in a studio in a box, and they can make it look this good. I don't know about you guys, but I love this stuff, man. This was so underrated.
Yeah, it's a good sign of set designers to really help flesh things in. Plus, the director has a good eye for that. They can all come together. Good producers. You can get a good mix of people coming together to, lay out like what should all those buttons be labeled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it might have just been like a stagehand who was like, yeah, we'll just kind of put some stuff on here, but. I mean,
the set design, that's their job. This is their job. This is what they're supposed to be doing is to put things in here that are immersive and interesting and whatever. And then, we have to world build. We have to have these massive shots with these cities and things like that. But, we have to have stuff to you have to have stuff to make us feel like we're there. And I don't know. I watched this I tried to give this scene some justice, and I really, really enjoyed all of this. I really, really did. The cutaways to computer screens and stuff are good enough. The way the cops look, they have like the McDonald's gag, right? Because they're getting McDonald's, and the guy's like, we'll get to it when we get to it. And of course, they mess up his food, so now he's interested. And then, of course, after they're there and they're hiding, they change the lighting around a couple of times, and then you have her sort of passed out, and then he takes her to the priest, and that's kind of where we're at in the film. So. Again, when I talked about pacing and things like that, because the film is 2 hours long, a little over 2 hours long, so with credits, it's around 2 hours long. And not a lot has happened in 40 minutes, so it is a little drawn out. But I'm not going to try to throw the baby out with the bathwater because I do enjoy it, and I will definitely take it because I didn't get any other films. Her performance. Look how good she looks. Oh my gosh, she looks so good there.
Actually, that is a bit of an interesting comparison because you go with last week we were watching The Crow, and within 15 minutes we had everything set up.
Yeah.
Whereas we're basically about a little over a third of the way through the movie now. We're only just kind of getting our key players together.
Yeah.
And there's something to that where you just have so much atmosphere and world building. Where just the visuals alone can tell so much can set so much of it up with that you don't mind that it's kind of taken its time to set the stage for the story.
Loki, when you compare this to like we did last week with Crow, like what he's saying, like Crow, you don't need as much time because it's so grounded in a place like Detroit on the streets and a gang, and so we don't have to spend much time. Whereas here, because we're trying to build an expansive world. We the audience are a lot more generous with them spending more time to get there.
Oh yeah, setting it up and establishing everything. No, you're right. And there is the big difference between this and like what Ironcaster brought up with The Crow. With The Crow, you're dealing with something that could very well be going on today. It doesn't matter that this movie was made back in the 90s. You play The Crow, that shit could be going on today. There's nothing that can take you out of that. Holy shit! This could be Detroit today or next year or what the hell is going on? And this is in the future, and there are different rules and there are different things that have to be established with these different characters because it's so far ahead in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. More people rolling in here, which of course is also. Brandon, Looney Tunes fan 2000, my friend. By the way, if you need a break from all the shenanigans that are out there, Brandon has a great channel with just literally like Looney Tunes passion stuff, man. You just want a break, hop in there. He's up at 875 subscribers. That 1,000 is literally coming soon. Sometime next year, man, he's going to be there. Talk about a celebration. I'll be happy for you, Brandon, my friend. And Alf Jeebus says, I had to dress a set that was supposed to be after a fight. I pretended I was Wreck Gar and tore up the room. Okay.
Ricka.
Dean Grant says good science fiction films don't always have to be expensive. I agree. The effects team understands the story. It's not one of my favorite movies, but I enjoy it when I see it. Yes, thanks, Dean, for being here. And actually, I think I couldn't agree with you more. Not one of my favorites, but I do enjoy it. Greedo and Speedo is here. Hey there, my friend. Man, I'd love to have Greedo on sometime. It'd be fun. Talk about crazy. Love that guy. And yeah, Dean, you're absolutely right. You're saying JJ crap, but I'm saying almost all of Hollywood. It's almost like we understood what the Michael Bay experience was going to be like. These guys try to pretend that they're not like that, and that's all they do. They just basically throw just nothing at us, and then they just blow something up and think we're all supposed to be happy about it. So there you go. Yeah, Dean, we talked about that last week, how Devil's Night in Detroit was kind of like a real thing. So yeah.
Yep.
And I am not trying to liken one to the other, but I think it was a fair thing that Ironcaster is bringing up, that, with one of the things that we were praising about Crow last week was this incredible pacing. There is so much that happens in this film very fast. Like, it just is moving. This film is a little more slower paced, but you're trying to really take in the amount of stuff that's happening in this world that you're in. So,
oh yeah, I wasn't trying to.
I'm not trying to criticize it either. I know you're. Yeah. So let me ask you this about this, because this is bringing me up a part. To me, this is the easiest thing I don't need. I don't quite get why they had the gag about the mom. There's a constant gag where he talks to his mom on the phone like 3 or 4 times in the movie. Like, Corbin, you won. Why aren't you taking me? I'm your mom. And, I gave birth to you. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. I don't know. It's not bad exactly. I don't know what we're trying to get out of this mom gag. Do you guys have an explanation for the mom gag? I got nothing.
Do you remember, did you ever watch Sopranos?
Of course.
Okay, you remember how his mom was like, "Kill me now, kill me." There are mothers throwing their babies out of windows. It's this.
No, I get the stereotype, but why put it in here? Why put it in? It just seemed like a weird.
Somebody thought it would be funny. Somebody thought, so everybody knows a mom like that. Well, really, no, not everybody. And unless you know that kind of mom is out there, it's supposed to generate sympathy for Corbin. Like, look at all this shit. He's retired military. Some op went bad. That's why he quit. He's a taxi driver now. He's down on his luck. Plus, he's got his mother like a monkey on his back. Corbin, you never call. You don't want anything to do with your dear mother. And it's just like, how much shit does this guy got to go through before he catches a break? And Milu is his break.
At the end, the mom calls and she's basically rehashing all the crap about Lilo, right? It's like, you jump in traffic. I'm going to jump in traffic and I'm going to be in the plastic in the bed. It's all the stuff that actually happened with Lilo. That gag works, and then I'm like, I wonder, did they do that gag, but in order to make it work, they had to add some sort of setup, so they just kind of stick it in, they kind of cram it in. City Slickers is the one that did that well, because they have that, 5 a.m. phone call from his mom because of its birthday, and I relate to that 100%. That is Pops' mom. Pops' mom used to call me. It was 5:55 in the morning. I remember it's like it's yesterday. It's like, oh my God, Mom. I mean, I'm getting old for this. Now, she doesn't do that anymore, but I mean, for years of my life, I would get calls like that. It was crazy. And then when I saw City Slickers, I think I peed a little bit. So I was like, holy crap. So I guess you're right. It does tap into some moms. It just seems like it's one of these weird things that doesn't always fit. And yeah, Alf Jeebus is bringing up the best example ever is the Howard mom in Big Bang. Yeah, I know, Big Bang. I got it. How many of us feel. So, Gray agrees with me. It's a little out of place. And again, I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater or anything like that. It's just one of those weird things. Like, I'm just not quite sure I understand why this was there. I almost feel like there's a story that I don't know that I should know or something. So,
I think it was a joke they did about one too many times.
Well, if they're going to set up the one gag at the end, they kind of have to repeatedly keep setting it up.
Well, but then they also do it again when he's in the little hotel room by himself.
That's the one I don't get at all. Like, how would she even know how to get a hold of him? Like, that was actually probably one of the weirder ones. That one definitely didn't need to be there for sure. There he is. how do we even scale? Because if we were to like survey everyone and we did like 100 villains and all that kind of stuff, Zurg wouldn't really make a list, and I don't know why. He is something to be had, is he not?
Yeah, he's this like really interesting like kind of combination of things because it's like he stands out. I think I would dare say he's aside from Milla Jovovich's like neon orange hair, he's kind of the most memorable character for me in this. I mean, he's got the plastic thing on. He's got the plastic thing. He's got the side of his head. He's kind of the prototype of. He's the prototype of the side shave.
Yeah.
And he's also got like that southern drawl to him at the same time. It's just this really odd amount of character choices. Kind of like they sort of ad-libbed like, all right, I need a villain. I need a unique. They're like, I need a unique person. I need a unique trait about him. He has a plastic hat. Okay.
Dude.
Now about his hair.
Zach, you go ahead. You want to make a poll? You make a poll. Can you make a poll, Zach? So I have to make you a mod to make a poll. I don't know. You can, or you can have Chris do it. So do you guys know? I heard again when I'm listening to things at 1.5 speed, and we've delayed this watching this movie for a month. I've had time. Gary Oldman was interviewed, and he was asking like, "How on earth did you come up with Zurg?" You want to take a guess on what Zurg is? He is a cartoon character and a presidential candidate. Those are your clues. I was like, I see it now that I hear it. I would have never have come up with this. And
Ross
what's weird?
Perot.
It's Ross Perot.
Yeah,
and Bugs
I knew
Bunny.
it. I knew it. Ross Perot.
And Bugs Bunny.
You gotta understand that America comes down to about $4 billion. That's enough to buy a still and an outhouse for every family in Little Rock. You catch me? Yes.
Yeah. Pick up what I'm throwing down right here. You see, you gotta fire 500,000 people. I'm gonna fire 1 million people. Fire them right now. I'm like, wow, yeah. And then Bugs Bunny, like he's got these zany physical movements and stuff, and quirky. I'm like, when he said it, I kind of thought about it, and I'm not quite sure the Bugs as much as Ross Perot, but yeah, that's where the twang comes from. I actually work with a guy who sounds a lot like Zurg. It kind of creeps me out now that I've watched this movie so many times in the last month. I watched it like 3 times, and I saw this guy in the hallway walking past me, and he said something, and I thought, oh crap, he sounds kind of like that. He's got that southern drawl thing going on there, so he's more feminine than Tila. Oh, Zach, that's freaking gold, bro. Yeah, it's good. That's good. Oh, he's how I would paint Ming the Merciless from Alabama. All right. He is something in this film, in my opinion. And this is such a great, again, the things that this guy had time to come up with in his life. They all have the little plastic things on their head, by the way. It's just a thing. We don't ever explain it. They just do. And, you get these shots where they're doing, practical masks and effects and things like that. It's all wonderful. And, of course, the idea of this gun where you shoot the one and you can shoot around the room and just, I don't know, guys. It's almost like he came up with all these brilliant ideas over the course of his life, and I'm glad that it had a chance to manifest and we were able to enjoy it because it is really, really good in this movie. I really love it. So yeah, we have a lot that's happened. We also haven't, because we're still trying to figure out what to do and kind of get the action going. It takes about an hour for the things to really kick into high gear because they realize there has to be a chase now to figure out where the stones are. No one has the stones. They have to go to this remote place, like this vacation planet. President doesn't know what to do. He's going to trust them to do it. Zurg doesn't know what to do. And the military basically reaches out to this guy. He's basically like expendable to do it. And you have this sort of like odd, quirky scene with like Russian spoofs of how their military operate with her weird Star Wars donut hair. And I was like, what on earth? She's like Princess Leia meets the Russian dodgeball girl meets like it was great. It's crazy.
Can you tell me what other movie she was in? Without looking it up.
Off the top of my head, no.
She was in License to Kill. Not License to Kill, but the one before that. The one with Tim
Living Daylights?
Living Daylights, yeah. She's the Russian pump chick. She's the one that runs
yeah.
the booth or whatever the hell the booth. Yeah, she's the one that gets naked and gets in that Russian officer. She rubs her tits all over that
That's right.
Russian
Yeah,
officer's
she's
face.
holding
Yep.
his face into her boobs so they could suck and go on behind
Yep.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Smart bullets. Yeah, Jeeves. It's so ahead of its time with that. That's not something that was really introduced before this much. I don't know if this was the first one or not, but so. Let's see. Cannoli Sasquatch hopping in. Hey there, my brother. Roy, I really enjoyed his content. I did not know Cannoli Sasquatch was doing streams and stuff, guys. If you haven't checked out his channel, I was really hooked. 2 or 3 streams, man. It was a really good time. Had a fun time, and definitely check it out. So, was she in Matilda? Is she that lady? I don't think she's that lady. I don't know. One of you guys will check for me. I can't do that right now. Yeah, I don't think she's the Matilda lady. I could be wrong. So yeah, basically they get Dallas involved, and then you have he hides them in the cooler, and then she's showing up, and then someone else is showing up, and it's just a lot of contrivances to get to the action and that kind of thing. And you're getting them to bond. And there's all this little cat and mouse of who's going to get these tickets that they can try like a game show. So Corbin has to go to this planet because he's going to get the stones. Of course, we know the priest and Lilu is trying to get the stones. And of course, Zorg and the bad guys are trying to get the stones. That's where we're going. And we have sort of the shipping depot area where kind of like a Total Recall kind of moment when everyone's coming in. And what was weird with this is on the cheap, we have to come up with something to do with a set. And I didn't catch it as much until we were doing this, where I rewatched it several times. Let's just put a whole bunch of trash in the background, and then we'll kind of make a reference to it about it being trash. Sorry about all the trash. And then just keep it going. I was like, again, super smart. Like a great low budget way of having something different. It's literally like a trash mountain behind them. They make reference to it, so we, the audience, doesn't really ever question why it's like this. Brilliant.
You quite literally have people diving right into it.
Yeah, there's going to be a shootout, and the guy just tries to escape in the trash, basically. I also love the religious ambiguity of them being priests, and also he has the plastic ring thing on his head, so he's almost is he Judah? Is it like a Judaism? It's like this amalgam of what our religions are that makes this happen. So it takes this long before we get to the scene, right? One of the most meme scenes, one of those great moments. There's just no way around it all. I can't play sound. I apologize. There's a face swap on this. I don't know whose face. Oh, it was Loki's face swap. I actually had to trim it down to hardly anything. They went after Ruby Rod's music. It was too long. It's just, they're very protective of this scene. So for those of you that think you want clips and stuff like that, this might be one you might have to avoid or play around with to make sure you don't get flagged. So we will try to give you a little bit, but it's not going to be an easy thing to give you Ruby Rod, because it is truly spectacular. It really is. It's just insane.
Look at that hair.
Well, there's a great moment where Bruce Willis's character just does a quick glance, like a 1 second, like you have a sponge sticking out the top of your head, and then he makes eye contact again. It's literally just one quick glance, and he does what the audience does. Is like, what the heck is on this dude's hair? Yeah, it's perfect.
It's not just the hair; it's everything. It's the fucking leopard printed suit. He's got
leopard covered staff with a little metal handle on it. He's got this necklace and headphones, and
it's like a suit dress too. It's not just a suit. It's like a suit dress. It's like part dress, part suit, and you see him in that later at the opera.
Yep.
When he's got that rose colored dress looking thing on. Mm-hmm. You don't have it's supposed to be this amalgam of male female fashion.
Yeah,
that's
androgyny.
Mixed. Yeah.
He's got the full posse of people following him.
Here he is, the one and only winner of the Gemini Croquette Contest.
He is off the chain. Holy cow, that's good.
He's hotter than hot. He's hot, hot, hot. Ow!
All night long.
All night. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just something. And then it's like it works as a microphone, so you're talking into it, and it's just, oh my gosh. Guys, if you never watched Fifth Element, It's a little over an hour in before you get Ruby Rod, but when you get Ruby Rod, it's good. And by the way, until I started again rewatching it, are you green? Is it green? Is it a thing? I'm like, are there shirts that talk about that? Because it should be. There should be. So, yes, he has a flashlight on his head. I don't know what is going on, man, but it's crazy.
How did he keep a straight face doing that? I mean, it just how? How in the world did he keep a straight face doing all that?
Yeah, I don't know. What on earth happened to my...
How did anyone else like keep a straight face while he's doing this on set? That's, I think, is the real question.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. Maybe there are outtakes that explain this, because it's just off the chain. Dean says he is what Howard Stern wishes he was. I don't know, man. Stern is more like raunchy shock jock.
Oh, yes,
This
Dean.
guy is off the chain, man. This guy is crazy. I don't know that I have anyone I can liken him to. And Gray admits, like, truly unforgettable. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So
Julie,
I think the real question,
this is the Russian
though,
lady. Sorry, let's go back to the Russian lady. Was not in Matilda. That was a different actress, Pam Ferris, who played Trenchbull. Good job, Chris. Thank you, my friend. Well, you mentioned Michael Jackson. Well, Michael Jackson was not only an inspiration for Ruby Rod, was actually considered for Ruby Rod. So that is definitely Prince and Michael Jackson were the two characters. Just so you guys know.
maybe a better or worse casting.
No, again, everything that seems like it's when it becomes timeless, it's lightning in a bottle, right? Had it been, Mel Gibson, it wouldn't quite felt right. If it had been, this, it hadn't been. Sometimes when you have lightning in the bottle, it just works, right? It just works. That's really kind of all there is to it. And I know Chris Tucker's done some stuff, but I don't know, man. It's Ruby Rod, man. It's just freaking Ruby. I mean, Ruby Rod is. Because you got to remember, there's like after this is when Rush Hour comes out. Like, would he have gotten Rush Hour? Would it have been a thing? Whatever. And there are massive gaps in his career where he's, he really didn't do anything. Like, he doesn't have any major things on his resume. And it's like, well, yeah, Ruby Rod though. Hail Ruby Rod.
Like I think ultimately, like, basically to this point, he fell off the earth after Rush Hour 3.
Yeah, I don't know his resume to know. Someone else might be able to catch us up on something else. So. Anyways, Ruby Rod steals the show for quite a while. Like, there's literally on and off scenes. There's this great like sex metaphor for when they're going to leave on the spaceship to go, and he's seducing the girl in purple. So there's all these thrusters and faster and whatever. So it's hysterical. I will admit too, it's also off camera. So that's my kind of humor. Like when you get this kind of stuff where it's funnier that it's off camera. They can't help themselves, not because they think they're so clever, whereas no, it's funny. Meanwhile, another Nimrod and a pair, where they're all trying to get onto the ship. So the ones that are failing, Zorg blows one up, and the movie really gets going crazy once you get to the 1 hour mark. It's basically a short version of the story.
I think like 4 people all wind up trying to be Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm. At least 4, yeah.
And it's always like the same lady is like, "Oh, you're another one."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then they arrive, and it's sort of like the cliche person off the airplane going to Hawaii, and people putting a lay on you, and then they're going to have these tickets to go to this big opera, and you have sort of this insider knowledge that Diva is the one. She's this performer, and she's the one that's got the stone. So everything is sort of like converging on this opera. And that's what's happening here. We're going to get this shot of Ruby Rod in this ridiculous outfit. Let's see if we can get a little shot of Ruby in this outfit. He has literally like a black cloak and hood, almost like a vampire outfit. But then around his neck are literally like roses, like a wreath of roses, like you would put around a horse that wins the Kentucky Derby. It's so insane. Look at this. It's like a little thing of roses going around here with that crazy necklace that he has on, this ruby necklace. And like you were saying, look, it's entire androgynous, ambiguous sexuality. It's just different. It's supposed to be a different future, a different world, different life. It's just everything is completely different. So
also the hair is now these just tons of little black
just tufts of
balls
hair, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's also black. Like it was like bleach blonde with the sponge tube on the front. Now it's black with like, let's see, it'd be like 6 or 7 of these little tufts all the way around it. And by the way, for us bald dudes, this dude back here, he's got some crazy design tattooed, or at least I don't know if it's permanent or not, on his head. And everything about it is so unique and different, because they just shot this on like a regular opera house or something, but they made it feel different. They made it feel exotic and different. Okay, so let's get to Diva. Diva comes out. It's kind of what Star Wars kind of wishes it could do. Like they do something interesting and creative. She's blue and she's singing these notes that really can't be done. So I guess the actress that did this, they actually had to record some of the notes separate and then speed them up, because you can't humanly hit those notes, I guess, in that order or that speed. I'm not quite sure. I tried to understand it because it came up in one of the interviews, and I'm not going to pretend that I know music well enough to understand. So Lilu goes to Diva's apartment thinking that she's going to get stones, and basically gets into a throwdown, and you see how tough she is. These guys are trying to take over the ship, and just all sorts of craziness is breaking out over where these stones are. Zorg thinks he's got them and set the bomb. So that's why it says 20. He sets it at 20 minutes. It's counting down. And then you have the attack. This is Zorg leaving with the what he thinks is the stones. And then there's the assault on the Diva, who gets shot. And then this great scene with Ruby Rod again. Again, Ruby Rod is a home run at every moment. So this is Bruce Willis' character, like, just hold this gun on him. All right? Hold on. Watch this.
I got a headache, Corbin. This ain't me.
All right. So he's going to pull the stones out, like little by little. And we have to have this shot. And I want to, I know I'm going to risk the copyright because I got to see this shot.
Yep.
Ready? Watch.
Ruby.
Yep. He just startles him, and so he shoots the guy. He just shoots. He's like, keep an eye on him if he moves. He just says his name. He flinches and just kills the dude. It's freaking great.
It's the movie's got this really good kind of the way it plays with the humor. Like, when the shuttle was going to take off earlier, they got to like pull out a flamethrower to like blast all these little tribbles under the ship.
Oh, right. So there's gags like that, right? So we have the ship has sensors that there's these little things in basically the vents and stuff, and that's how the priest sneaks aboard. And they basically go around with flamethrowers, and there's these little balls on the ground. So do you know those little, like, they're about that big. They kind of have like little plastic spikes on them or whatever, and you turn them on, and they just kind of vibrate on the floor and bounce around like this, right? They were very common back then. 1 or 2 of them are that. They're just literally those balls with some rubber bands, and they've been like the props department has modified them so they look differently. So when you see them, that's actually those balls that you could have gotten at any retailer during that time. So anyway,
they were able to go to KB Toys when it was still open.
Yeah, maybe. Look at Adega. I'll take it. I'll take you, buddy. It's okay. Do what you got to do. I'm wondering if Bruce was trying to make Bruce laugh. I don't know. I don't know how. I got to be honest. I really wish I had searched out maybe some outtakes or something like that, because it would seem like it's great. So,
one of the things that kind of really stands out to me now, kind of watching back through this now, is back around the time this first came out, I could not stand Chris Tucker doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Now I love it. It's like it is. He's kind of this highlight of the movie, where he's just this annoying side character that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris Tucker didn't even want to do this. Chris Tucker originally was like, "No, I'm not doing that," and it took convincing for him to be like, "Okay, I'll do it." They had to convince him to do this.
Obviously, just pointing out, Diva is actually Luc Besson's wife at this point in Luke's career. Of course, he gets a divorce and ends up marrying Milla. Then, of course, divorce Milla, and then so the drama surrounds this is quite amazing. So, Diva has an interview on YouTube that is quite good. Yes. The way they come out of her sound it's amazing. Yes, Brett, thank you so much for that. It was just every time I kind of have dove a little deeper in this film, it actually just makes it more and more interesting. So, Death Woman has to head off. Hey, my friend, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it so much. Padawannabe's here. Hey, man. And he says, yeah, that's exactly what they're called. Thanks you for remembering the name. Bumbleballs. So they would just see these little balls. They're plastic, whatever. And they just they bounce around, right? That's so when those little treble things are falling out or whatever. But you're right, Ironcaster. There are some pieces of the film that have great levity without it being like silly gags, cheesiness, that kind of thing. And Ryan's been with this, but he's going to finally go to bed. It's got to be super early there for him, my friend. Take care of him. Get some rest, machine. Get some rest. So yeah, let's move along here, because basically this is what it's going to be. It's going to be just chaos and shootout with Corbin Dallas taking on all of these guys, and Ruby Rod just being hysterical. There's a great shot where he's like, you stay here, and he shoots around him so he falls down to safety. And look at Ruby Rod's outfit, man. It's just off the chain. Oh, this was like the negotiating scene with this guy. This is Tucker from There's Something About Mary.
Right. 2 on the left.
Yeah.
He's able to, at a glance, with like the slightest of glances, get a sense of how many there are in there.
Yeah, 12 and
Left
4,
side, right
5
side.
and 2, with like literally like a second. He just knew, and then it's like, well, we can find out who their leader is. He's like, oh, this is the leader, and that was a conversation about negotiation. And Corbin Dallas just basically just walks out. Like it's like the gag, right? I wasn't really trained to be a negotiator or whatever, and of course he just walks out and just pops him. Yeah, so it's just. He just moves. Like I said, the last hour of this film is the action element to the film. Like they set up sci-fi, they set up all this stuff, and then it's just like it's craziness. Get the stones, get Lilu, defuse the bomb, shoot this guy, shoot that guy. And then when Zorg returns, he thinks he can figure out how to get the stones, but the creatures have got a contingency plan built in, and they blow it all up. And then you're kind of left with, well, I don't understand. We still have a few more minutes of this film. We killed the bad guy. It's like, well, he's not really the bad guy. He's working for they call it Mr. Shadow. Isn't that what they call him? Mr. Shadow?
It was a big smoke cloud.
It's a big smoke cloud, right? All right. So we really haven't talked about Lilu. Lilu had surfing the web, basically. And she'd been going through like an encyclopedia to learn about humans. So you see her doing some of that early in the film. Then Bruce Willis's character asks her about it, and she mentions that she's on V, and he's they're being affectionate, they're bonding, having a moment. But then this late in the film, she's actually going through W, and that's when she runs across War, and you have this incredible performance. And this is where she just, Milla just nails it. And she basically becomes like hopeless. Like, I don't want to live. Like, why am I bothering going through all this to save all you humans? You guys just kill each other left and right. And then you have sort of like the, national treasure / movie mummy element to the film, where they're going to try to figure out how to get the stones to work, line it all up, get her in the right spot in the right way at the right time. Let's see here. And not bad special effects. I'm like reasonably okay with it all. I thought it was fine with the way they kind of pulled this off. This actually didn't look bad at all. It's held up well. So they set up the stones. Of course, we have to have our moment where everybody's counting down literally to within seconds. And then he has to say, because I love you. And she sees that there's love in humanity. So therefore she becomes the fifth element and saves the universe.
It's the power of love.
Yes, indeed. And then we have our gag ending where basically they come in to congratulate Corbin Dallas and Lilu, who of course are in the tube. We know what they're doing, and that's when the mom calls with her gag, and this guy did a good job too. And you talked about like quirky, weird looking actors. Again, that's good casting, man. It's another good character. He just stands out. He's just different. He's odd. It's like I don't even know the character's name. But I'm down, man. I believe it all. It's really good. So, I don't know. What was one of your reactions when you rewatched this, Loki? How'd it feel? What was kind of your take back to it?
It's always great rewatching this, and when you get to rewatch something, especially in like a newer, 4K, the blacks and the whites, especially when they do the HDR treatment and everything. Can look good, but the real bonus to all of that is the sound. This movie explodes out of a sound system. So if you have a home theater system hooked up to your TV, I highly recommend you get the 4K because that's where that 4K sings, is the uncompressed audio that just comes out of your speakers and takes you on that trip with you. It's great. It's great. You can rewatch this movie. This is another one a year, about once a year. I rewatch this movie. So
that's cool. Ironcaster, you said it's kind of like it's growing on you. Like every time you watch it, you end up with a little bit more and more appreciation for it.
Yeah, it's a movie that has just a lot of style to it. That it's a movie it's a movie I feel like I can kind of drink in, where taking in like sometimes just little things from the scenes. It's a movie I could throw on that feels like it's going to be a lot deeper. Like it should have, by all rights, had sequels and comic book tie-ins and all that it sadly never got. But it feels like we came close, and this, by all means, should be like a fertile ground for inspiring a lot of ideas for, I don't know, just the idea of like exploring that New York City, like kind of I grabbed some concept art here for the background, and I want to go check this New York City out. I want to see like what's on the menu at that McDonald's.
Well,
maybe they'll have a burger with cheese curds on it.
Yeah, he had such a mess just without, like I said, everything turned into a mess. Bruce Wilson is difficult. Marion divorcing the lead, those kinds of things. He originally had planned this as a trilogy. He really thought he could get 3 films out of it. He was going to have his sort of like childhood project manifest into these films. And Alf Jubis has pointed out that Brian James, he's the one that plays that general. Yeah, he is Leon in Blade Runner. Yeah, good call, man. Yeah, good catch, Alf Jubis. I caught that too, but he's great. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's like one of those underrated gems. And as we go about our lives, we meet new people, whatever. We talk about films. This is one of those films you'll mention to someone. They'll be like, "I've never seen that." And you're like, "You'll like it." It's one of those films. It's like one of those hidden gems that's just kind of, it didn't bloom into a bigger franchise. It's probably bigger overseas. I'm curious if any of you are there or in Europe or whatever would know. Does it have a bigger legacy? I assume in France and Germany in particular, there are 2 countries that did very, very well in. But here in the States, it's just sort of like kind of a forgotten gem, in my opinion. I'm glad someone recommended it for us, and I'm glad we did it. It's been fun. It's been fun, that's for sure. All right. Good. Thank you for that, guys. What else? Anything else you want to say about this before we kind of like put Fifth Element to bed?
I mean, so I was kind of looking up a little bit around what was in theaters like right around the same time as it, and like about the week before, Austin Powers International Man of Mystery.
Yeah,
that was one of those movies that just was a cultural like juggernaut when it came out. That just basically shut everything else down.
Well, it was 2 weeks after this. I remember it very precisely, and I just double-checked my dates to make sure. It's 2 weeks after this came out is when Jurassic Park Lost World came out, and that's what crushed it. It was number 1 for 2 weeks. It was a big deal. Everyone in my circle of friends, like the genre people, we were all into this movie. We loved this movie. We loved Austin Powers too, but Austin Powers had already come out. We'd already seen that one, so we could see this one. But once you had Lost World, it sucked all the oxygen out of the room. It kind of messed it. But again, this is one of those times where I started to realize, well, if this had come out at a different time or there hadn't been a big blockbuster right behind it, could have it stayed number 1 for another couple of weeks? Could it have made 10, 20, $30 million more? Timing is bad. And it definitely, I think, suffered in that regard. That's for sure. But it was way bigger overseas than it was here. It made significantly more money overseas, 4 times as much, I think, or 3 times as much overseas than it made here. So, yeah, but no, good film, good guy, good suggestion for those of you out there that definitely hit us up with this and wanted us to put this on our list. We've enjoyed revisiting it for sure. So, all right, let's talk about what's coming up next week. It's going to be interesting. We haven't done anything like this yet. This will be kind of fun. It's kind of our pause. I was triggered because they didn't show Charlie Brown. It's a Great Pumpkin. It stressed me out because it's part of our holiday traditions. And even though it's a little late for a Halloween tradition, I had to throw it together. So I'm going to have an amalgam of Great Pumpkin meets Thanksgiving / Christmas. Let's talk about traditions. Let's talk about some of the different things. Ironcaster, you were quick to point out, Thanksgiving football. We're talking about foods. We're talking about parades. We're talking about just all this stuff. So we'll have a week that's a little different. Maybe it's a little more laid back. Maybe we'll throw some things out there for you guys to chime in on, that kind of thing. So next week we'll be doing that. It's kind of like almost like a behind the scenes with Talk Hard. We're talking more about our personal lives and interests in things like that than we do, an actual film or a TV show or something. So we have that coming up. And of course, we all have stuff going on as a YouTuber, so we'll make sure we have time to plug all that, because right in our green room, right before this show, we were able to schedule Thursday on Mornings of Mischief. Loki was able to schedule a guest. That's right. Right here behind the scenes on Talk Hard. You'll hear it first right now.
Ironcaster is going to be on Thursday, this Thursday.
That's right.
For a little meetup on Mornings of Mischief. So it'll be great to have Ironcaster on. It's a rarity. He just happened to have some time off and decided to come by, and that'd be absolutely awesome.
I think it's time for a little show off, get thirsty, refresh,
get thirsty.
2-0.
That's it. So, has Ironcaster been on before? Have you been on Mornings of Mischief before?
Nope.
No, this will be a first.
Big debut. That's freaking great, man. Congratulations. That'd be awesome. And Brett Cohen has pointed out that Australia has actually a big fandom for this. They've actually did one of those 24-hour anniversary ones 5 years ago. So good on them, man. That's good to hear. Thank you for sharing that, Brett. It's good to know. So yeah. Tonight at 8:15 Eastern time, so an hour and 15 minutes or so. So I got time to kind of button up a few ends on my life. I am going to be coming back on live to talk about the Orlando Geeks and Gamers / Neurotic meetup. And yes, Mrs. Pops came with. So we'll have some stories. I'll share some photos, and you guys will be more than happy to ask questions and talk. And if we have time, we'll just start jumping into some other stuff. I had stuff show up in the mail. I had stuff that was given to me while I was there, which of course is kind of a weird thing. I've not been doing this very long to have someone hand me something. And I wasn't there. It's like, it's not my event. And by the way, yeah, Andy Mastern is popped in here. Andy, I heard Andy was at Orlando. I guess you were at the afternoon. I missed Andy. I would have loved to have met Andy face to face. I am such a massive fan, as he hopefully knows. But yeah, man. Hey, Andy, thank you so much, my friend. Ironcaster, of course, is our resident master with Chris Persia of, yes, low budget horror suggestions. The stuff that goes on behind the scenes is quite silly. I think Loki's probably got us on mute at this point because he's probably like, you guys are just out of your flipping mind.
No, I don't. No, really, I don't.
Because it is some schlock indeed.
Chris knows what Thursday's topic will be too. So,
oh my goodness!
Immediately, as soon as Ironcaster was like, "Yeah, I can do that," I was like, "Okay, wow." B movie Thursday.
These aren't B movies. He's picking stuff that's like C and D movies. You guys are warned. If it's on Tubi, you just have to know it's one of those things where if this was a blockbuster, you'd pick this box up and going, "What the hell am I looking at here?" Be warned. Thanksgiving. I put a photo. I put a fake little thumbnail together because Ironcaster had not set a date and time for us to do a schlock night or anything like that. But the Thanksgiving poster. There's a warning on the top, like boobs begin 1 second in. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. Thanks for that, Ironcaster.
Hey, I didn't tell you to click play on these things. I
didn't hit play. I was looking at the description, but on Tubi, if you hold it on the screen long enough, it'll just start playing, and it's true right away. I'm like, what on earth has he got me? What on earth is this nonsense? Like, yeah.
Did you have a second to look at my suggestion for December?
I did not get to look at Santa's Sleigh, right?
Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg. Oh yeah, he flame broils Fran Drescher in the first 5 minutes of that movie. She's like, Santa, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and dude, it's just like off to the races after that. You're like, holy crap.
I wanted watching the trailer for that last night, and it looked like he was having a blast in this movie. It's just, it is Christmas puns and Christmas killings all left and right.
I think it's more like we should do not Christmas movie. Like, this is just not a Christmas movie. Like Santa's Sleigh, it's off the chain. Right? Have you guys watched Fat Man yet?
I've got it loaded up. I need to start it.
Okay, have you seen Fat Man?
No.
Fat Man is freaking insane. Like, I don't even know. It's so dark. I don't even know how much. To be honest, for someone that loves Christmas as much as I do, It's like, I love it. This movie, I love this movie. I shouldn't have loved this movie. I should have hated this movie. It was so violent and insane and just off the chain of like stuff that happens. It's going to fit right. So we'll tentatively put some of these together. The Santa Sleigh, Fat Man. I know that there was like a suggestion who I think Ironcaster even said it in our chat too about like Die Hard or something. I don't want to do things that are that mainstream because I may do reviews like that of mainstream, or we can do a show of the not Christmas movies like Gremlins. Like if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, there's no way Gremlins is not a Christmas movie, right? And I made a non-fanboy person mad because then I said, well, then I have to include Serendipity for my wife because she loves Serendipity and it's set at Christmas. And they were like, oh, no, that's different, man. I'm like, okay, no, we don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say, like, Love Actually is not a Christmas movie if you're going to start, making the arguments for Die Hard and Gremlins.
Miracle on 34th Street is a
Thanksgiving
movie
film.
then.
Yes, I know. Ironcaster was trolling me, triggering me. Because, I mean, it's clear with someone as much of a film nerd that I am, as more of a critic, you guys would know that even though I consider it as rewatchable as others, Miracle on 34th Street is like a gem. It's like a near perfect film. It's this freaking amazing film that you're sitting through all this dry drama. Like, is anything going to happen? I don't understand. And then when it hits you in the feels, like it works on you every single freaking time. And you don't want it to. I know. I'm a sucker for them. So
I love the original. That is like one of my yearly traditions.
And I got to be honest, I actually don't hate the second one as much as I should. It's just it's almost like a popcorn version. Like it's not even the same. It's like I don't feel like it's the same. I almost feel like I'm watching someone telling the other story or something. So, but I'm such a massive Christmas nerd. I literally have a different T-shirt for every day. I break dress code every year at work and wear a T-shirt every single day. No one ever says a word. I have the crazy Christmas jackets, the whole nine. So yeah, Christmas is a thing for me. So yeah, and I have we've had the Griswold house many times. Like it's insane. So let's see. I think I covered streams. Loki, normal week for you. Is comic stuff tomorrow night?
Comic stuff tomorrow night. Comic Book
Awesome.
Roundtable will be tomorrow night.
That's awesome. I have to take a break after Ryan. I don't know how long we're going to go. I'm going to be on Ryan's show starting at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So it'll be a little earlier than my normal start time, but I'll be on with Ryan for at least 2 hours. We'll see how long it lingers. We'll see. He wants to try to unravel the onion that is Pops' resume of accurately called alternative media. I don't know how far into the weeds he wants to go. So we'll see how that goes.
You'll have fun.
No, I know I'll have fun, but he's like, you know how he has a dossier on everybody, so he's like one of the first ones to go, no, Pops, you don't like have a little bit of interest in Tampa Dispatch. You co-own Dispatch. I'm like, oh yes, I do, but I don't. Like it's I own it, but I don't do anything. I've been dabbling with some stuff, but there's no staff anymore. There's no time. So it's one of those things. Like, he knows all these little ins and outs. So who knows what he'll bring up? Maybe he'll find an old radio clip. Who knows? Man, he's something unique. So, yeah. So yeah, that's going on. And Thursday night, so I may have some time to be at least listening to the Loki show. Tomorrow night, comic book stuff. But on Thursday night, I'll be doing noob reviews. Be over on her channel, Megan Lee. She was at the meetup in Orlando. Got to meet her face to face, which was super, super cool. And a really cool time. We'll talk about that later tonight. Tons of comic book stuff and tons of comic book recommendations. Like, I'm having a hard time knowing how to parse that out. People who want me to talk about like what to here's the suggestions. It's 3 things and everyone voted equally. So I have not learned anything or what people would want. It's what to read, how to get in, and completely destroy it. Those are my 3 things everyone wants me to do. What to read on. If I like Wolverine, what do I read? How do I start? And what's the crap? And Pops, could you destroy it for me? I'm like, okay. And I did a poll, and it was like 30%, 30, 30, 30, and like 8. Well, I don't forget what the 4th option was. I'm like, oh. So I will be trying to work in some comic book stuff during the month. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's been great, man. It's been awesome. Got the general plan of a member stream coming up in a week or so. For those of you that are members, feel free to hit me back on that. Maybe that'll work for you guys. I just kind of pick a date to do something. I don't want to put it off any longer because I hadn't done a member stream for you guys. And just keep things burning and turning. We'll have some talk card coming next week. And as we head into the holidays, check out these guys. Make sure you're subbed. Thanks to all you guys in the chat hanging with us for so long, man. It's been a fun night. It's been fun. It's a good movie, underrated movie. And I'm glad we share with so many of you guys. It's just been awesome to do that. So thanks for all of that. And thanks for all of you just partnering with me and being here every week and just doing that kind of stuff with us. We appreciate it. And I love it, man. Love you guys doing it. And love these guys for doing it with me. It's just been a blast. I look forward to it so much. It's just Tuesdays is a blast. It really is. I just look forward all day. Really do. So,
I've often kind of said that, those days that people like to think are just terrible. Like everyone's always like, "Oh, Monday's the worst day of the week." It's like, so why don't you do something to make you look forward to it?
Mm-hmm.
As I've been arguing oftentimes in my work in that Monday's not the worst day, Tuesday is. And now I have something to look forward to on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I feel the same way. I really do. I'm dabbling over the weekend. I'm usually working on some sort of intro. I'm trying to piece something together to at least have something. I don't know. Kind of. Let's just start off with something fun. Maybe have a laugh, or try to jab at Loki. If I can make him smile at least once, it's always worth it for me. And have something to look forward to. Have a good movie, or I can't wait to roast something, or whatever it may be. So I couldn't agree more with Ironcaster. It's true. And that is some great advice. So, well, folks, listen, we're going to head out. Make tomorrow better than today. If you're not doing anything later, feel free to swing back by and spend some time with me. We'll talk about the meetup and catch any of our shows and streams this week. It's going to be busy. We're always churning out stuff for you guys, and definitely love your feedback and thoughts. If you're catching us after the fact, love your comment, love your thoughts. Make tomorrow better than today. And remember, just, talk hard and remember to chill. And here's Bob to remember him.
Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem.